Hey, Ashwin Vidyala here. I was reading the Bhagavad Gita this morning, and the chapter I'm reading discusses these three gunas. Guna is the Sanskrit word for qualities. I think it was okay. Whatever. I mean, it's really irrelevant. And so they were telling how everybody's personality is comprised. I mean, it was saying the Bhagavad Gita. It's a religious book, by the way. One of the Hindu religious books. And and the reason I read it just because I mean I am Hindu, but that's not the reason I read it. I read it because I read everything. So that chapter is talking about these three qualities that each person's personality is comprised of, and the Bhagavad Gita went on to say that, or maybe it was the author, not the author, but the translator who was given a little forward. And anyway, I read it that no individual, I mean, each individual is comprised to some degree, more or less, of each of these three gunas. Each of them, like part of this, part of that, part of that. But nobody's perfectly any one guna, and the constitution of your personality, like have a little bit of this, little bit of this, little bit of this, is never constant. It's always changing, because the universe is always in flux. The universe is always in motion. I remember, I think it was Emerson. I'm pretty sure it was Emerson in his essay Compensation. He said something like, nature abhors a vacuum. Or maybe I must have read this as As a Man Thinketh. I don't even remember where I read this, but something like, nature abhors a vacuum. Abhor is hate. So nature abhors a vacuum. And something, it'll move things around this to hold her balance true. Basically, there is always going to be movement. If there's, in physics, if you mix hot water with cold water, it's not going to be constant. It's going to keep mixing until everything is the same. And then again, there's still going to be movement. Nothing is ever constant in the universe. Everything is always changing. Let it be the personality of individuals, let it be in nature. And why is this relevant? Why the hell do you have to even care about all of this? I remember once somebody said, a flower is either growing or it's dying. It never stays the same. So in the same way, as an individual, you're either growing as an individual or you are dying. You never just stay where you are. Now you might think, okay, people talk about stagnation. That's basically dying, because you're never constant. The universe is never stable. Even right now, if I just stood still, it's maybe a facade, an illusion of just being constant. But there are so many things happening all around me at the microscopic level, in the air around me, that I cannot see. Processes are happening in my body right now. My heart is pumping blood. My stomach is digesting the food along with my intestines and all of that stuff. Nothing is ever constant. The universe is always in flux. The universe is always in motion. So as an individual, you're either growing or you're dying. You're either focusing on self-improvement, you're going towards a goal, and you're doing something to improve your life, and you are growing, or you're not doing anything, which means you're technically going backward and you're dying. You're either growing or you're dying. You are never staying constant. You are never standing still. There's a Chinese proverb that says, be not afraid of going slow, be afraid of standing still. Because they understood that when you stand still, you're not just standing still, you're actually dying. A flower is either growing or dying. It never stands still. And neither do you.